Hey folks, this is Rhykker with a video about the 5 features that you need to know about in The Elder Scrolls Online Gold Road, the newest chapter to the game. And we're going to thank Bethesda for sponsoring this video. This is actually my second video about The Elder Scrolls Online. My first one was back for the previous chapter, Necrom. And I've been into The Elder Scrolls since way back in the day. Morrowind was my big start, a little bit of Oblivion, then Skyrim was the one I really dove into. Some of my original YouTube content was for Skyrim. And I figured, hey, while waiting for the Elder Scrolls 6, let's dive back into some Elder Scrolls Online. Now, Gold Road gives us an entire new region of Tamriel to discover. It is the West Weald, which is just to the east of the Gold Coast. Has a little bit of similar geography bleeding over, also to the west of Cyrodiil. Within the West Weald, we have 3 separate regions. To the north, you have the Colovian Highlands. Then to the southeast, we have the region known as the Gold Road, where the city of Skingrad is. To the southwest, we have the Dawnwood, where the elves live. And then separating these 3 regions, we have the Wildburn, this sort of corrupted region. So up in the Colovian Highlands here, you got an imperial city of Ontis. You also have a lot of Ayleid ruins, very mountainous region. This leads right into, again, the Wildburn. This is this magically twisted, desolate landscape. That's sort of borderlands of the Dawnwood, which you can see right here. That's where the elves live. We've got the Outcast Inn standing as a sort of solitary point of interest within these desolate lands over here. And then as we move back again into the Gold Road, here we have our main town hub, Skingrad. It's beautiful vineyards. It's all very Mediterranean inspired. Now, some of you Elder Scrolls nerds might recognize Skingrad, and yep, it's coming home, Oblivion. The Elder Scrolls Oblivion 2006. We last visited this place, so it's just nice to be back and see everything now updated and in the Elder Scrolls Online. Now, one of the highlight features of Gold Road for me is the story. I love the lore of Elder Scrolls, and this story is seeing a coming together of sort of 2 storylines. You have an elven, a wood elf storyline, and an imperial storyline, and it's brought together by a couple NPCs that you're going to get to know, some new, some returning. And it all begins because there's this group called the Recollection that is up to no good in the area. We're sent to investigate. We're a proxy of the mystical high elf Larimil the Wise, who was, I believe, first introduced in the previous chapter, Necrom. But then we also run into a wood elf called Baragon, who is investigating the Recollection, and you may have met him before as well. Baragon is this very friendly and gentle, scholarly figure, but he in fact used to be an adventurer like us until he took his retirement. But he's come out of his retirement now to join us sometimes on his adventures, and he lives up to his name, Baragon, or his old name, Baragon Sharpdagger. But then on the Imperial side, we have this fully new character, Tribune Aaliyah. She's a Colovian legionary in service of Count Calantius of Skingrad, and she's this real badass, charge-in, headfirst kind of character. And without getting into spoilers, just big picture here, what you can see from the opening cinematic, the Recollection turns out to be a group in service of a Daedric prince known as Athelia. Now, in Elder Scrolls lore, Daedric princes are basically gods. We've met a bunch of them, or we know of a bunch of them from past games. Athelia is a fully new Daedric prince coming to Gold Road, and she is known as the Prince of Paths. And I'll let you think a little bit on what Prince of Paths could mean, multiple paths, and the storyline explores some pretty trippy, cool stuff. I really like these kinds of storylines in fiction that explore these kinds of ideas. But yeah, basically, Athelia has now returned out of nowhere, and we need to figure out what's up with that. Even if you're not very big into the MMO side of things, you can just kind of play this solo or with, co-op with a friend. There's about 30 hours of story content to go through. And for those who are into the MMO side of things, well, the game's also got you covered with a new 12-player trial, the Lucent Citadel over here. You can solo a lot of content in this game. This is not one of those things. Believe me, I tried to solo it. There are also world bosses for you to tackle. And then there's also some new world events called Mirrormore events. Those are also events that are ideally tackled in a group, but they attract random people as well. So if you head over when one of these is active, this is also, it's tied in with the story, this whole Mirrormore. Again, I don't want to get into spoilers, but it is related to Athelia here. These are incursions from the Mirrormore, another plane of existence. And of course, there are also dungeons that you can do either solo or in a small group. Now, a really cool new system that you folks need to know about is skill scribing. This is a system that basically lets you make your own spells or skills. You start with a base skill and you're able to modify it in different ways, and there's like over 4,000 different permutations. You start by finding the Scalarium in the city of Skingrad. It's going to be right over here. You go through this portal to access it. From there, you got to go to the scribing altar. So you go to the main hall, and then right over here, you're going to find at this altar where the magic happens. And you start by selecting a grimoire. That's the base skill. So let's take Elemental Explosion, for instance, but you have a whole bunch of them, and you're going to find these throughout the world. There's different ways to earn these. So we're going to take Elemental Explosion. This just kind of defines the very basics of the ability. So it has a 2-second cast time, it targets the ground, it has a range of 28 meters and a radius of 10 meters. Okay, compare that, for instance, to Mender's Bond. That's an instant cast, range 20, duration 12 seconds. So we're going to take this. What does it actually do? Well, that's defined by the focus script. There's 3 modifiers you're going to apply, 3 scripts. So the focus script dictates the main function of the spell. Does it just deal a bunch of damage? Does it remove up to 3 enemy area effect abilities? We're going to go with stun here. Stuns enemies for 5 seconds. So enemies within this range are going to get stunned. Next, we take the signature script. This is something that adds another bit of character to the spell. And so it could afflict them with burning, chill, and concussion. It could deal a bunch of extra damage over 20 seconds. We're going to go with that. And then lastly, you have your affix script. This is an extra little effect, tends to be either a buff or debuff. So for instance, it could be brittle, makes enemies brittle. They're going to take more crit damage. Cowardice, lifesteal. I think we're going to go with brutality and sorcery. If you hit an enemy with this, then you're going to, for 20 seconds, have 20% more weapon and spell damage. And there you go. Again, there's like 4,000 different combinations of, these 4 different things that you're picking to build your own skill. And these things cost luminous ink. You're going to get luminous ink as you're going around the world. Now you got to be at least level 30 to access scribing, or otherwise you have champion points. Another new feature you should know about is skill styles. These are basically transmogs for your skills. So for instance, this is what my wall of elements looks like by default. And then if we're going to apply this violet purple to it, you go in here, you can select the appearance, and now, boom, changes the color. And skill styling isn't the only new customization feature. There's more as well that comes with Gold Road. There's over 100 new furnishings, and there's 2 new homes that you can get. One is the Merry Wine Retreat, which is this right here. It looks like a lovely little Italian vineyard. And as we wrap up, folks, Gold Road is available now on PC, and it'll be coming to Xbox and PlayStation on June 18th. Click my link in the description to buy it. And The Elder Scrolls Online is an MMO that does not have a mandatory subscription. So once you own it, you own it. You're not pressured to go through this content all at once to get your sub fee and all that. The story is broken nicely down into chapters, so you can take your time, get nice checkpoints. You can experience the story chapters in nice standalone sittings. Take your time to explore the world, all the points of interest. There's so much stuff. This isn't even everything there is to discover on the map. This is maybe half of it, I believe. And this is just in the new region. You have most of the entire world as well. Thanks for watching, and thanks again to Bethesda for sponsoring this video.